Hey everybody, welcome back to Better Plays Ahead. I am your host, Matt Williams. Joining me on the other side is my co-host, Mr. Frank Ammirante. Second week of the show, NFL Week 3. How you feeling, Frank?
Oh, feeling excited. Every Thursday rolls around, and I'm just hyped up for the new NFL week of to attack the betting slate, and can't wait to discuss it here today.
And we had a good week one. If you were lucky enough to come in for the first episode, as we kicked this off, we did really well. 7-5 plus 3.11 units. Like we had a couple of our big ones there. Frank hit his parlay. Anthony Richardson reached the end zone. Obviously, he won't be able to do that this week as he's injured. But yeah, overall, fantastic start to the show. And we're going to just dive right in. So why don't we get right into the chalkboard where we talk about all of the heavy favorites and the betting that we would still take regardless of it being something that the entire public and the entire world is on. And for me, my chalk play is the Chargers at Vikings. Over 51 is where I grabbed it when it started. It's already up to over 54, which is a crazy high line. And sometimes you may want to fade something that large, but no, I'm jumping right on board. Both teams looking for their first win. Honestly, whoever loses this one is kind of screwed. 0-3, I mean, 0-2, you're kind of screwed. But 0-3, it's a death sentence. It's very hard to get back into the playoff picture. Chargers haven't looked necessarily too bad. Vikings have looked lost, but the Chargers have lost week 1 in the final minutes, week 2 in overtime. That said, I'm not picking a winner in this one because Austin Eckler's still out. I don't necessarily trust the Chargers to actually get it done when they need to. That's kind of been the story of the Chargers their entire lives. But I do believe this will be a scoring bonanza. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison should feast on the Chargers secondary. And Justin Herbert should be able to carve up the Vikings 30th ranked pass rush. That's just brutal. Neither team actually has been able to stop the run either so far. They've been just near the bottom of the league. Not sure how much Madison and if Cam Akers gets in for maybe a couple of carries. I don't know how much he'll play if he plays. And Joshua Kelly will factor into this one. But again, it's another reason to be in on the over because not only can neither team stop the pass, neither team can really stop the run. So yeah, absolutely love the over as my chalk play here. And one bonus play I like here is over 3.5 field goals. Again, I said the Chargers, they have a problem when it comes to actually converting into touchdowns too. So I think in this high scoring bonanza, we can count each team to probably like fail a few times in their ability to get into the end zone. So yeah, plus 145, you can get that over 3.5 field goals. Absolutely love that. Yeah, what do you think of that, Frank? I mean, right now, 51 was nice. 54 is a high number, but there's no reason to think that this won't be just a complete track meet.
Yeah, I love it. The Chargers have struggled to stop the pass. We saw Tua throw for 466 yards against them. We even saw Ryan Tannehill, who didn't look good at all in week 1, granted against a superior Saints defense, but he still carved them up a bit last week in their loss against the Titans. So I think Kirk Cousins in that pass-heavy offense should throw for a lot of yards. Although his prop is at like 290 passing yards, which is a high bar. I'm with you. You got to just take the over here. It looks like a total shootout. All we need really is, like a 30-27. I think it'll be a close game going down to the wire. Herbert and Cousins airing it out. Love them in fantasy this week as well. With you on this bet for sure.
All right, who do you like here? You like you like another high number here, but this time on the spread. Who do you like for your chalk play for week 3?
Yeah, I like the Chiefs. It opened at -12.5 at home. I've seen it get to -13.5 in some spots. It's just the Bears are a dumpster fire. Justin Fields is taking too many sacks. The offensive line is really a turnstile. They're just letting pass rushers through, and they're without their left tackle as well, and that should hurt them against the Chiefs defense that has looked pretty damn good so far, holding Trevor Lawrence and the Jags to 9 points, holding the Lions to only 14 because remember 7 of their points came from a pick 6. And Chris Jones looked great in his return in week 2. I think he's going to be a total wrecking ball on this Bears pass protection, really causing problems. And you look at Chicago, they're just in a complete disarray right now. Justin Fields calling out the coaching a little bit, saying that he's playing robotic. He wants to just run around. They're not giving him designed runs. It's just a mess. And the Bears pass defense has been atrocious as well. Baker Mayfield just carved them up. Jordan Love carved them up. Now they got Patrick Mahomes. So it's the Chiefs.
coaching a little bit.
Yeah.
He said they're robotic, asked him coaching. He just straight up called him out. Yeah, the FBI's raiding the Bears. I don't know. I haven't read into that, so I'm not going to cite any specific details. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Chicago, but it ain't good. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, bank on the Chiefs. This has like a 60-0 score kind of vibe going into it. Not that it'll be that bad, but yeah, Chiefs. Give it to me. All right, so that's it for the chalkboard. Let's go into our next segment, which is absolutely fantastic, where we go through some of the bets that maybe the public is seen as intriguing. Maybe there's a lineup there that they're baiting you a little bit of the sports books. Right now, we're going to get into It's a Trap. All right. Something like that. So yeah, this week my It's a Trap. Absolutely here. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 4.5 versus Philly. This has actually been bet down a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Philly opened up at like around 6. So the fans are like, really, the public is really getting in on the Buccaneers. Have gotten off to a 2-0 start. Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield have surprised a ton of people. However, their top ranked, pass attack in the NFC has been successful due to matchups versus the 30th and 31st graded pass rush in the NFL in the Vikings and Bears. We already talked about the Vikings and Bears so far and how terrible they have been. Tampa's going to find out really quickly that the Eagles are not the Bears and Vikings. The Eagles pass rush is ranked 11th right now. And the Eagles, they're 2-0 despite not playing their best football. Tampa Bay's been playing way over the heads. The Eagles have not been playing incredibly well, but it's still DeAndre Swift also. We don't know what to expect going forward, but they finally kind of let him off a lot. Let him go. A lot of it had to do with injuries, but we've never really seen what he can do with like maybe a full role. The Lions held him back and it looked like the Eagles were going to do it again. But after they saw what he could do, I'm not sure if we may not get another opportunity to see him kind of run all over the field again too. Not that the Tampa Bay rush defense is any kind of slouch. They're absolutely not. But here, another thing to watch out for on the Philadelphia side, who again have not been banging on all cylinders yet. Dallas Goedert, we thought would get back on track last week, didn't quite get there. Devonta Smith has been great, but AJ Brown became a squeaky wheel. He was very vocal. You could see it right on the TV screen that he was very upset with his role. And then as soon as he complained, what happened? Shot downfield. They even have a huge touchdown that was called back that he almost got. So I would look for maybe AJ Brown to get even more involved here. So some people see this line as disrespect from the books towards Tampa Bay, but I think it was spot on when it was 6. And I think they're just really underestimating the Eagles. I know kind of where you land on this, Frank, but do you want to give a quick thought here before we move on to your trap play?
Yeah, I'm not buying into the Bucks yet. Like you said, easy matchups first 2 weeks. I will concede that they're probably better than I thought coming in, but I still view them as, a non-playoff team that I think Baker Mayfield's going to struggle against this Eagles pass rush and pass defense. He won't be as efficient. And like you said, I really think Jalen Hurts will get back on track with AJ Brown and feed him. Just like DJ Moore last week put up over 100 yards against these Bucks. I think AJ Brown's going to have his big breakout game of the year. And if you look at his prop, which just recently came out, it's 68.5 receiving yards. I'll be looking at betting that because, he's a big play threat. He can get over that in 3-4 catches. So I think big game for AJ Brown. Eagles should win by 7 to 10 points. I'm with you.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. Fade.
It's a trap.
All right. What do you think, Frank? Over on your side, I know you have one here that it's going to lead right into our teachable moment of the day too. So what is your trap play of the week?
I think my trap play of the week, bettors look at the board and they see the Bengals only 2.5 to 3-point home favorites against the Rams. Obviously, Cincinnati came in as Super Bowl favorites, one of the Super Bowl favorites, that is. And the Rams, we thought coming off last year they wouldn't make the playoffs again. But hey, I underestimated Sean McVay. They look great. Matthew Stafford looks healthy. They put a scare into the 49ers. They blew out the Seahawks. Puka Nacua looks great. Joe Burrow, if he plays, he's not really close to himself right now. It's check down city in Cincinnati. And, I think really the Rams should be like -1 point favorites here. I'm going to take LA. And looking at the line, to me, it looks like people may get enticed because they see Cincinnati such low home favorites. But no. I don't trust Burrow right now. And if he misses the game, they got what, Jake Browning as the backup. That's an undrafted free agent, has been on the practice squad. I mean, like, not looking good for Cincinnati. They're staring at an 0-3 start right down the hole, and I think the Rams win here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a trap.
And that leads us right into our teachable moment of the day. All right. So as Frank said, he wants to fade Cincinnati -2.5. The main thing with this is, Joe Burrow news was available early in the week. We knew right from the game that he was injured, and there was a very good chance he wasn't going to play, especially after an 0-2 start. They signed him to that large contract. You don't want to make sure you're not getting hurt here. But the line opened up at 7.5 for the Rams. I jumped on that immediately. I tweeted it out. Again, our Twitter X, whatever it is. That's why you want to follow us. We're going to try to shout those plays out for better plays ahead. But the lesson today is check lines early. Always. Everyone wants the most information you can get when you're betting. But when you know information that maybe the books have not necessarily adjusted to yet, then if you see a line that you absolutely love, like we said, the Vikings over, I added at 51. It's now up to 54. If you see something like that and it looks like it's going to be chalk, bet it up. There's no way it was going to be bet down, really. But again, here with a 7.5 down to 2.5, that's insane value right there. The Rams have looked good. People can score on the Bengals. If Joe Burrow's not in this, absolutely, you got to love them at 7.5 over a touchdown. That is just tremendous. Check lines early, especially if you think an injury could chase it, like the Saquon Barkley news. I grabbed San Francisco at 6 early in the week for Thursday Night Football. Then Barkley was officially ruled out, went to 10.5. So it's really important to get in that value early and make sure that you check lines, because right now it's some of the best. It's some of the best value you can possibly get, other than to try to create your own, like I did with alternate lines, like I did last week with the Baltimore -2. Another one is like if you just happen to like a team, no injuries necessarily. Miami opened up at -3.5. Now they're -6.5. I know Jalen Waddle's out. I don't know necessarily how much that matters, but Denver's, the way they kind of shot at the end of that game, really came back and scored a lot of points. I don't necessarily trust them. So that's more of a general opinion. But again, if you really like a team and you're getting a good number, go ahead and grab it. So that is the teachable moment of the day, is absolutely take advantage of early lines. So, Frank, what are your thoughts there of any of the ones that I called out there, especially any of the lines maybe you disagreed with? But yeah, in general, you got to take advantage of those early lines.
No, like, you hit a home run with that Bengals one, like Rams plus 7.5. That's just phenomenal. It might even move even more in your favor by game time. If Burrow's rolled out, I think the Rams, you got to think they're maybe like -1. So love that value you got. And I've gotten some value like that in hitting lines early, but I feel like I got to do it even earlier to get what you got. Like, that's phenomenal value.
Shockingly, someone in the comments who's a Bucks fan thinks that the Bucks are going to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, I can't see it, buddy.
But hey, good luck to you. I don't have a horse in that race necessarily, other than just betting it, because right now we're going to get into the betting board. We have a drop. It's going to come any second. There it is. And we're going to, my very first bet of the day is actually going to be for my official plays of the week is Philly -4.5 at Tampa Bay. I don't have to talk about it much. We talked about it on the It's Trap segment and I just want to make the play official here. I mean, I think the Philly is just a tremendously better team. I don't care if they're on the road. 4.5 is a solid number here. And yeah, absolutely. Give me Philly at -4.5. My next play is Seattle -4. Now -6. I jumped on this a little early. Still like it at -6 though. Bryce Young has now missed practice for the second straight day with an ankle injury. So it could be Andy Dalton time. Whether or not that's a good or bad thing is, I guess, to the eye of the beholder. This could theoretically be better for the Panthers, considering how bad Bryce Young has been. But Seattle, we were giving them a little bit of less respect last week against Detroit. Man, they came out firing. They had a plan. They clearly had a good plan for missing their blind side and right tackles. They were getting the ball out quick. Geno looked fantastic. So yeah, Seattle right now at home versus the Panthers. I think at -4 was great. -6, I think still under a touchdown. I'm still a big fan of. Really loved it at -4 though. But I know you had tweeted about this, Frank. So before I get into my last bet, what do you think of the Bryce Young, Andy Dalton situation? For me, it doesn't necessarily change who I think is going to win this game. But Bryce Young has been so terrible, where I think this is actually like a good thing for Panthers' chances of winning this week.
Yeah, so Bryce Young, I know he's been held back by his receivers that just really can't generate separation, and he's struggling there. But I think part of the blame should be on him. I know he's a rookie, so we got to, give him some, leeway. But I feel like Dalton, a veteran, will be a little bit more stable there and have the offense a little more functional than what we've seen in the first 2 weeks. And he could be like a slight upgrade over Young. Not saying for the full season that he's going to be like he would be a better option than Young. Obviously, Bryce Young is their best option to start. I had high hopes coming in. I think he'll, start to show flashes and made him the first overall pick. But for this week, I think Dalton is a slight upgrade for them. And I do like your play with Seattle. I was really impressed with how they bounced back last week despite O-line injuries. But I think Carolina will be slightly better on offense than what we've seen in the first 2 weeks.
All right, my last play here. We'll actually go directly into Frank's first play. So Tennessee at Cleveland. I love the under 39.5 here a lot. Titans run defense should be able to slow down Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt. I don't know how much Kareem Hunt's going to play. Love Jerome Ford, by the way. But the Browns' run defense is no slouch either. They should be able to at least contain Derrick Henry. You cannot stop him, but they should be able to contain him somewhat because they absolutely don't have to worry about the Titans' pass attack. So it's not good for Tennessee that the Browns get to key on Derrick Henry because they've been brutal through the year. Cleveland has the 3rd ranked pass rush according to PFF, and Ryan Tannehill is in for probably another long game. The wild card here for me is Deshaun Watson. It depends on what you think he's going to do. I think for 39.5 at the the near even money -110, I like the under here because he has looked brutal. He's looked like trash. He's thrown interceptions to just no one else is around. He's made really poor decisions. I mean, he's made some good plays here and there, but the question here is, will the Titans secondary allow Watson to get back on track here? Because they are not good. Maybe a little, but even so, I think that the Browns will be playing with a lead the entire game, which regardless of how, well Jerome Ford or Hunt, are performing, I think they'll continue to kind of pound the rock, especially in the second half, which should keep the score down. I don't think the Titans are going to be getting on the board very much at all. And I think the game script is going to keep Cleveland from really pushing this above 39.5. So while I do like Cleveland, which I think, Frank's going to talk about in a second, my last player is, Tennessee at Cleveland. I love the under 39.5. I think we'll see a low scoring game controlled by Cleveland the entire time, which, of course, like I just said, leads into Frank's first bet. Frank, who do you like in this game?
Yeah, I love the Browns at home -3. They should be 2-0. Let's face it. Like Deshaun Watson's turnovers were really the difference in that game against Pittsburgh. What was it? 2 defensive touchdowns, and they lost by 4 points. So I think they'll bounce back at home. Tennessee struggles with pass protection. They have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Ryan Tannehill's already been sacked 8 times. Myles Garrett is a beast. I think they're going to feast on that Tennessee offensive line, and give the Titans a lot of issues moving the ball. And like you said, it's a good matchup for Deshaun Watson. It's a pass funnel defense. They're really good at stopping the run, but they're not good at stopping the pass. And I think at home, we only have to take them at -3, such a low bar to clear. All they got to do is win by 4 or more points, and we're good. And this is moved to -3.5. In some spots, I still like it there, but I love it at -3. I think Cleveland gets it done at home.
Okay. What's your second play on the betting board?
So my next play on the betting board here, this one is more of a half unit. I have a full unit on Cleveland. It's Houston +9 at Jacksonville. I know the Texans have offensive line issues, and their cornerback Derek Stingley is now injured. But this is just a divisional game, and it's a lot of points on the Jags, so I don't really trust with that high of a number. They weren't good against Kansas City. Now, granted, against the Chiefs, but they only scored 9 points. Trevor Lawrence completed like 22 of 41 passes. I just don't trust them with a big spread, and I like what I've seen out of C.J. Stroud. He threw over 380 yards last week, and he's showing some flashes there. And a rookie quarterback like that, a talented one with a big spread +9. And I know like we don't put too much stock in previous matchups, but Houston's won 9 of 10 against the Jags. Sometimes, these divisional rivals tend to have another team's number in their division, which is just a little sprinkle of like a little cherry on top of my reasoning. It's not the main reason. The reason is I'm a believer in Stroud and I don't trust the Jags. I like Houston +9 here.
I have a couple of prop plays I really like in this game, so I'll just jump in real quick. I'm not going with Houston only because I went with them week 1 and week 2, and they've continued to burn me. But I don't dislike the play. It's more like being shy. But +9's a good number. Jacksonville hasn't looked their best. Trevor Lawrence certainly hasn't. But game script, 2 great game script plays. I think Jacksonville will be playing with a lead, which, I think will allow Houston to come back like you're probably thinking and maybe come within those 9 points. So I think Travis Etienne over 69.5 rushing yards. Absolutely love that. I got that at -115. I think that is almost a lock here because I think that they'll definitely lean on him, especially the way things are going. And on the other side, while Jacksonville is trying to control the lead that they probably have, Houston's going to need to come down the field. And Nico Collins is a star. Stroud has made him look like fantastic. There's not too many like preseason sleepers that come in and just like dominate from year one. He's making people look good. I love the over receptions. Is not dropped yet. I haven't found it anywhere. So I definitely will like over receptions probably because they don't really it takes them a while to really set people too high there. So if you give something like I'm guessing we're going to see something like a 4.5, maybe. He was at 3.5. I'll even take 5.5. But over receiving yards, only 54.5. Give me that all day. He can get that in garbage time alone, which is what I'm banking on here. So yeah, NTN over 69.5 rushing yards. Nico Collins over 54.5 receptions. Love that. What is your last actual play for the betting board right now?
So I got actually a couple plays here. I'll start off with the Colts +8 at the Ravens. I think it's moved to +7.5 in some spots. I know Anthony Richardson is looking unlikely to play due to being in concussion protocol, but Gardner Minshew is the best backup quarterback in the NFL. He looked pretty sharp in relief last week against Houston. And I just love what head coach Shane Steichen is doing with this offense. They're fast-paced. They're moving the ball. And it's similar to Jacksonville in that I don't really trust Baltimore with this large spread. They're still adjusting to the Todd Monken offense. And the Colts look a little sneaky here. I think they could keep it close. And having such a large dog always opens up opportunities, for that meaningless touchdown at the end and backdoor cover. And I think the Colts are better than what we thought coming in just because of how their scheme looks with Steichen. And I think they'll keep it close. I do like them here. But I wanted to say a prop that I absolutely love that I pulled up, as we're getting ready for the show and as the line came out. And that's Josh Jacobs over 71.5 rushing yards. So he's gotten off to a slow start. We all know that. Only 46 yards on 28 carries in 2 games. He rushed for -2 yards against the Bills. Awful. But there's some optimism. I'll give you reasons. He's still getting a ton of usage, playing 77% of the snaps, 69% of the rush attempts. So he's getting a ton of usage. Then it's a great matchup at home against Pittsburgh. Their run defense has been gashed. Christian McCaffrey, Jerome Ford, and Nick Chubb have combined for 323 yards on 48 carries, which is good for 6.7 yards per carry. Like they're just getting gashed without Cameron Hayward. I wrote this one up at thegameday.com. You could check it out, the props article for more on it. Yep. But, this is a close game. The Raiders are -2.5. Favorable game script for Jacobs. I think he can get to 80+ yards in this one. Really like his prop there. And another one that I looked at, well, I mentioned A.J. Brown. This one hasn't come out yet. Jahmyr Gibbs over whatever it is, maybe in the 60s it'll be. Rushing plus receiving yards, just because Amon-Ra St. Brown is banged up. David Montgomery is out. We saw Gibbs get around like 9 targets last week. He could be a focal point in the passing game. I know it's been a slow start, but he's a rookie, and sometimes they take time to really start rolling and getting more touches. I think this week against Atlanta will have his biggest week of the year, and I'll be excited to target his rushing plus receiving yards prop when it comes out.
Going back to I just want to mention something about the one play I absolutely love is Josh Jacobs. You mentioned the over 71.5 rushing yards. You already explained why. He's been getting a ton of usage. It just hasn't translated into actual results. One thing I saw earlier, I was trying to find anyone looking me down. I wasn't being rude. I was trying to find this stat. Highest target shares among running backs so far, 22%. Bijan Robinson, big shock. He's the man. Second among all NFL running backs right now. Josh Jacobs at 18.1%, highest target shares. So I'm not, I actually am going to be looking into, because not only you have the 71.5 rushing yards, you can get the over under rushing plus receiving at 90, which is interesting there too, because you can still collect all that on just rushing alone. So maybe you want to see it first translate into actual results before maybe you go on that high of a number for 90, because that's a lot to expect. That's a lot of yards to expect for someone who hasn't actually put it on the score sheet. But I just believe Frank, he's very involved in it's going to explode here soon. So I'm not necessarily going to bet that number at 90. I love the 71.5 rushing yards. That's fantastic. So let's get into Thursday Night Football. Tonight's game, for everyone who stuck around, we'll kind of give our plays. I mentioned earlier that I did grab the 49ers early. I don't necessarily like them at the whatever the number is now. It's like 10, it's like 11 or something. But Frank here, what is your number one? Because me and you kind of have plays that may sound like they're going against each other, but I think you could actually play them together. So what is your first prop bet here for Thursday Night Football?
Oh, I love this one. It's Christian McCaffrey under 17.5 rush attempts. Now, you may look at that number and be like, what? That seems low. Like he had over 20 in each of his first 2 weeks. But Kyle Shanahan publicly said that they're giving him too much usage and they kind of need to tone it down a little bit. They still got a good back behind him in Elijah Mitchell. And what perfect time to do so than a short week when they're expected to, win by double digits. They got a 10.5. They're favored by 10.5 points against a Giants team without Saquon Barkley. So they can really limit McCaffrey's touches to, 15 to 16 carries. I absolutely love that one. That's my favorite one tonight. I got it at minus 115 on the under 17.5, that is. But it's now like minus 140 in most spots. And I like that closing line value. Love this play. It's going to also lean into another one you're going to mention next, which I also joined you on, but go right ahead.
All right, so McCaffrey under 17.5 rushing attempts, which you would think wouldn't really speak well to his rushing prop, but I'm going to take the over anyway. It's set at 79.5. Against the Giants, he doesn't really need a ton of carries. I mean, I think he can get there easy with 15 carries, 79.5 rushing yards. I had that at minus 103. It's right around there, depending on the sports book you find right now. But going right into that play as well, I'm also going to take Elijah Mitchell over 28.5 rushing yards. I think there's no reason why these both can't hit, but at plus 106, where you can get right now, you can get plus money on Elijah Mitchell. If McCaffrey fails, you still can profit if Mitchell hits his. And I absolutely have no doubt that I think Mitchell is going to hit his too. I think there's a very good chance you hit both. I'm going to hammer each of them. I think that you could probably play all three of the ones we just mentioned and probably walk away with cash in all of them. So I'm assuming the Mitchell play ties in a little neater to what you were talking about, and that's the one you like, Frank?
Yeah, so I did that as well. I think, I could easily see in the second half, the Niners are up like 24-10 or something like that. And Mitchell gets a full drive and really chews up the clock and could easily hit this number. Like, he's a good runner. It's a great scheme. He hit this number, I think, in every game he played last year, and he's barely been used this season. And when you have the coach clearly speaking out about it, I think we have to lean with it. I don't think that's just coach speak, because McCaffrey, like, let's face it, he is being used a little too much for a Super Bowl contending team that really doesn't need to feed him as much as they have so far. So I really could see that happening. And to your point about how McCaffrey under 17.5 and over on his rushing yards, 79.5, can both hit, it's true. And what you could do, you could go on your betting site, do a same game parlay with the under rushing attempts and over rushing yards. And since they're contradictory and they have negative correlation, the odds will be nice. One of our Twitter friends, I apologize, I forget who said it in one of our group chats. You got like plus 400 on that and just two props because they're contradictory. So that's a cool little wrinkle you can add into your betting card tonight.
I will be doing that. I should say I already did that. We did write down. That is fantastic. Like the negative correlation, maybe we'll turn that into a teachable moment in the future. But that has been the Bettor Plays Ahead for NFL Week 3, our second episode. Frank, this has been a blast. We're going to get better and better as we go here.
Oh yeah.
I love the plays this week. Other than someone in the audience who's clearly a Tampa Bay fan, good luck to you. I like Baker Mayfield. I'm rooting for him. I mean, I hope he does well. He's got some weapons, but yeah, Eagles are good. So any parting words here before we sign off and release everyone into Thursday Night Football?
Well, be sure to check out our betting content at thegameday.com. I write parlays and best bets. Matt, you write a bunch too. And if you're into fantasy, you could check out my weekly rankings, which are updated consistently throughout the week. I'm going to be interested to see if Matt Breida can do anything against that brick wall of a run defense. It'll probably be inefficient, but we'll see how it goes. His props at 31.5 rushing yards. He'll probably, it's going to be kind of tight there. I don't know. I didn't bet it, but it'll be an interesting game. I'm expecting a Niners blowout.
All right. And if you stuck around to the end here, smash the like button wherever you are. If you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, share, tell everyone to watch it. Tell what an awesome show it is. Subscribe to the Game Day NFL on Twitter, the Game Day NFL on Facebook, the Game Day Action channel over on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
This concludes our broadcast day.